Happy homesteaders.
Hello and welcome to Model Lads. I thought it might be quite nice to do something different today and step away from the scripted stuff to share with you a painting log of me having a crack at doing some plastic Soldier Company's 15mm Panzer IVs that I assembled and primed last year for the tabletop in 10 days for a game against my opponent Carl. Now, I'm not the world's greatest painter, but I kind of figured that was the point. If I could get these tanks ready to an acceptable tabletop standard as quickly as possible, it might be worth sharing the process with your good selves to get some feedback on how I paint, and you may see something here that interests you and that you may want to adopt. The process that I'm going to be using, that I plan to use really, is a combination of MiG Ammo's 1943 to 45 acrylic paints for wargaming and oils for weathering. So let's crack on and have a look at how I've gone about it. To save me a bit of time, what I thought I would do would be to try and use masks. I'm going to be trying to use the so-called modulation technique of airbrushing to get a bit of colour and depth to these vehicles, and to do that I found it difficult in the past to effectively mask, so I'm always a bit ham-fisted with post-it notes. So I've pinched an idea from Mig Jimenez to use some Lion Raw Scribing Templates that you can see here to mask off areas of the tank in order to highlight them with an airbrush. And you can see that these are metal, thin metal templates in a range of different sizes, circles and oblongs, and it gives you an opportunity to place them directly over the model so that you can mask off the areas that you're working on as you gently airbrush your highlights onto the tank, and hopefully requiring no artistic ability whatsoever. So you can see here what I'm doing is demonstrating how these might be used in practice. I've also manufactured another little mask for myself here out of plastic card, very thin plastic card. I've cut it to the width of the hull, as you can see there, and put a 90-degree angle and an angled edge there. And you can see how I'm using it to mask off any areas here when I'm using the Lion Raw Scribing Templates for doing the turrets. And you'll see in a minute how I've used it to mask off different parts of the tank as I attempt to try this modulation technique. I'm using an Iwata airbrush at 15 psi with a 50-50 mix of the Dunkelgelb highlight from the MiG Ammo set that I just alluded to, with a thinner or a MiG Ammo thinner, but I guess you could use any of the Vallejo sets that are coming or that are out at the moment. Here you can see me having a go with the oblong mask or scribing mask, just to do the side hatches on the Panzer IV's turret. I found these really useful. I mean, the different sizes that you have enables you to just fit anything on the model that you're working on, and once you've got it marked up, really you can just wipe off any surplus paint at the end, and your templates are as good as new. So it just saved me a lot of fiddling around, mucking about when I've been using these masks really. And you can see that you can really tilt the model on its side and balance the template, and because it's fairly flexible you can place it over the model without any impediment, and the blue tack keeps everything in place. You can see I'm using the 90-degree angle here on the plastic card mask just to do the side vision port, create a bit of contrast really and highlight that. And in a moment, I wonder why I always seem to wiggle around with my airbrush. I don't know why. I don't know whether anybody else does that. But you can see the effect that I'm driving at really. You're starting to get this modulation between a darker base colour and another highlight. So with all of the turrets done, it's time to move on to the hulls. And with these, what I've found useful is to place them on a lid. In this case, I think I'm using a little glass lid that I use to mix my paints with, and you'll see that I'm using the oblong masks there with a bit of additional blue tack sophisticatedly applied to the template in order to prevent any overspray as I do the front hatches. And really I've adopted a kind of like a a manufacturing plant approach to this style of painting. I'm literally doing all of the hatches in one go. I will do all of the fronts in another go, and I've just found that this is a good way. You kind of learn your way around the model. You know what you can spray where, you know how to hold the airbrush, and by the time you finish the 12th one, if you're not completely insane by the end of it, you're pretty much applying the paint neatly. This is where the plastic template came in handy. Because it's mapped to the width of the hull between the Scherzen, I could use it to mask off highlights on the top of the hull, and then the 90-degree angle lets me do the side benders nicely without too much mucking about. And you can see here really that I'm just neatly trying to blend in the colours by highlighting the respective areas to create some contrast. I've kind of worked on the principle that the light is hitting the front of the vehicle. I used to be quite literal about this, in the sense of trying desperately to kind of create realistic lighting effects, but the reality is that I've kind of just, as you can see, I'm spraying the back there really. Whatever tends to work to create nice contrast. Another thing that I noticed here was that by putting quite a heavy coat of paint on those front hatches using those templates, being able to just spray over that slightly helps blend that in, and the hard edges created by the template can just be sort of like dusted over with a light covering to help that kind of contrast to be there, but you've kind of smoothed it in and making it a bit more smooth in terms of the modulated effect that you're aiming for, or that I'm aiming for. So what seemed to be no time at all, I've managed to modulate all of my tanks this evening to what I think is an acceptable tabletop standard, assisted by the use of the masks. Next up will come the part that I'm really honestly quite dreading, which is doing German camouflage. I hate doing German tritone camouflage, so that's going to be quite interesting. I don't know how I'm going to get on with that. Feel free to comment below, subscribe and share if you would like, or just tell me to get back to the reviews and stop wasting your time. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Why? Why?
I'm just going to film myself doing that.
Okay.
See, look, that's how you do little highlights on the little thing.
Is this going to go on the blog?
Yeah.
Okay, don't do it with me in.
Okay.
Do another one.
Don't kick the tripod, my love.
Okay.